Hello again and welcome everybody to a Shortstop with a Shortstop. Have you ever wondered how important you are? Well, in God's eyes, you are extremely important.
And the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall arise, no sorrows.
Last month, I went to a baseball banquet, and there was former professional baseball players there, there was college baseball players there, there was professional scouts there, and it was just sold out. It was just a ton of people there. But the keynote speaker's name was Daryl Cheney. He came up in the Cincinnati Reds organization, later got traded to Atlanta. But I want to tell you a little bit about his talk. He was with the Cincinnati Reds in the early 70s, and he was a utility infielder. And he said he was a little bit down, and he wasn't getting any playing time. And he walked into Sparky Anderson's office and said, "Sparky, can I talk to you?" Sparky said, "Yeah." He said, "Sit down." And he said, "Sparky, I'd like to get a little bit more playing time." He said, "Is that a possibility?" And Sparky looked at him and said, "Well, let me go over this with you." He said, "We've got Pete Rose playing third base. He's a perennial all-star." He said, "I can't really take him out of the lineup." He said, "I got Joe Morgan at second base. He's been the MVP twice of the National League. I can't really take him out." He said, "I got Tony Perez at first base. He's led our team in RBIs every single year." He said, "I got Davey Concepcion at shortstop, and he's a perennial shortstop." He said, "I got Johnny Bench behind the plate, and Johnny has been an MVP himself. He's one of the best catchers that there is, probably the best catcher." He said, "I got George Foster in left field, and he's led our team in home runs for the last 3 years." He said, "I got Ken Griffey in right field, and he's been a perennial all-star." He said, "I got Cesar Geronimo in center field, and he's been an all-star. He can flat go get it out in center field. He's the best center fielder that I've ever had." And Daryl said after he told him all that, he said he felt really bad about even going in there and asking him for playing time. He got up out of his chair and started to walk out of his office. And Sparky said, "Come back here, Daryl, and sit down just a minute." He said, "There's one thing that you don't really know." He said, "You don't know how valuable you are to this team. Because if Pete Rose goes down or get hurt, you're going to be the guy that comes in and plays. If Davey Concepcion gets hurt, you're going to be the guy that comes in and plays shortstop. And if Joe Morgan gets hurt, you're going to be the guy that comes in and plays second base." And he says, "I know that you can catch." He said, "I know we got Johnny Bench and Plummer as the backup catcher, but if both of them get hurt, you're going to have to catch for us." And he said, "You are a most valuable piece to this team, and you need to realize that." So he said he felt a little bit better after that, but he said 3 days later, after he went into Sparky Anderson's office, David Concepcion broke his ankle, and he played shortstop for the rest of the year. But in God's eyes, He tells each and every single one of us, and especially you that are out there listening to this lesson, that you are important. Because in Psalms chapter 139, verse 14, it says, "I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well." God has made you fearfully and wonderfully. You are made by God, and He wants you to know that. Then if we look in Matthew chapter 10 and verse 30, it says, "But the very hairs on your head are all numbered." He knows exactly how many hairs are on your head. Now that takes some pain, and that takes some careful, painstaking, loving care that He has about you. And In Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 5, it says, make sure that your character is free from the love of money, being content with what you have. For he himself has said, I will never desert you, nor will I ever forsake you. No matter what happens, no matter what you do, God is not going to forsake you. He's not going to leave you as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and obeying his commandments. But he says he will. What kind of a better friend could you have than that? Somebody that says, I will never forsake you and I will never leave you. And that's just telling you how much he cares about you. And then if we look in 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 7, and I love this verse right here, casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Now, if you have any cares or any worries or anything of that nature, he says cast them on him. That's how much he's telling you how important that you are to him. We have one purpose in life. And that purpose is to obey God's commandments, get to heaven, and take as many people as we possibly can with us. And as Sparky Anderson said, you don't know how valuable you are to this team. God values you. How do I know this? Because he sent his only begotten Son to die for you. That's how important you are. Don't think that you're not important. The hairs on your head are numbered. God loves you, cares about you, he will not forsake you. You are a valuable member of the team. Thank you again for being with a Shortstop with a Shortstop.